Yo, hey you. What it do? It's your boy Rob Does It All, coming to you live and direct from 220 miles above the Arctic Circle. I'm in Tromsø, Norway, y'all. We got good news today, and that good news is that yes, Lindsay, reindeer treats are still 25 cents. Today I wanted to holler at you guys about following your dreams. Like, I follow my dreams. You need to follow your dreams, and why it's important. Let's see, 5 years ago, right? Well, 6 years ago now, I had a dream. I wanted to move to Norway, right? I was going through a lot of crazy stuff in my life at the time. And that'll all be in my book, My Beautiful Nightmare from the Bottom of Prison to the Top of the World. But I was going through a lot of stuff. And, I was like, I wanted to see the world. I wanted to travel. I was in my 30s. I never left America. And I was like, man, there's a big world out there. I want to see what's going on. And I looked up, this was 2017. I looked up happiest country in the world. And in 2017, the happiest country in the world was Norway, right? So I was like, okay. You know what I'm saying? If, hey, people out there and they happy, I'm trying to rub shoulders with some happy people. Like, what's going on? If I'm sad and they're happy, I'm trying to go see what's up with the happiness, right? So I was like, man, I'm gonna go there, right? But I didn't have any clue how to get there. I was like, I don't know anybody in Norway. I don't even know anyone who's ever been to Norway. I really don't even know that many people who have been to Europe, right? So it took me a couple of years to figure it out. And then I ended up going to Dutch Harbor, Alaska. Ended up getting a job on a fishing boat, Bering Sea fisherman life, man. I'm out there. Yo, this is crazy. I'm from Herndon, Virginia, y'all. I'm from Herndon, Virginia, and then I moved to Corvallis, Oregon when I was in 11th grade, right? So I never been on no fishing boat. I never been to Alaska. Like, I played sports growing up. I never seen Deadliest Catch. I never seen none of that stuff. Like, the people I know aren't on fishing boats in Alaska. So I had no idea what it was going to be about or anything. But I went up there. I did it. That was just crazy. I feel like that's a whole nother thing, right? But I went up there, I did it, and I got paid. Hey, if you don't know, a fisherman, they're making money. That's why people up there doing that work. It's the hardest thing I ever did in my life. It also paid me the most, right? So I took that, and I was like, I was there to go to Norway, like to use the money to go to Norway, go to Europe, right? And then when I got the money, I don't know, I started having second thoughts, like doubts, And Queen Ma Dukes, right? She was like, she's the one that really, kept the inspiration going, because, everybody can talk about what they gonna do before they get money, right? I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Pay off my debts, I'm gonna save, I'm gonna do this, and then they get it, and what happens? They buy electronics, they buy a car, they buy clothes, you know what I mean? So, when I got it, I was like, oh man, Europe was like a cool idea. Like, come on, we're not really gonna go to Europe. That's crazy, right? And, she was like, the whole reason you did this was so that you could go to Europe. The whole reason you was on the boat working 20 hours a day, which, man, that can't be right, but whatever, right? The whole reason you was out there was to get the money to go to Europe. Now you have the money, so now you have to go. If you don't go, you'll always regret not going, and you'll wonder what if. And if you do go and it don't work out, she's like, I'm your mother. You can always come back here whenever you need to regroup in life, So I'm like, man, okay. So I go. And then, I try and get a job in Norway. I didn't know nothing about visas. I didn't know nothing about nothing. I watched a few YouTube videos and went to Europe, went to Norway with a couple suitcases and dreams, eyes wide open, like, wow. I didn't know anything. I didn't know you need to have a job contract. I didn't know how you go about getting a visa, nothing. I look back on it now like, oh, wow, Rob. So I went, I applied for a visa. It got denied, the first one, and it got denied because I didn't get paid enough, right? As an American, you got to get paid at least 180 kroner. an hour, and my first contract was like 150, right? And that wasn't gonna fly, so they denied it. And I was like, man. So I went back to the spot and was like, yo, in order for me to work here to get a visa, like I need to have at least 180 kroner. And the manager was like, oh my goodness, you haven't even worked here yet, and now you come and ask me for a 30 kroner raise, right? And I'm like, please. But they gave me the raise, they gave me a new contract. So I'm like, yes, I'm gonna go. I'm like, now I'm gonna apply for this visa, I'm gonna get it, right? And so I go and I apply again, right? Denied again. I'm like, what? 6,000 kroner every time I apply for a visa, right? That's like $600, roughly, $600 American, right? And I'm like, why am I being denied this time? The last time you said it's because I didn't have enough money on my contract. I got a new contract and now I'm being denied. And they were like, oh, but you can't apply when you're in Norway. Like, you have to not be in Norway. Well, why didn't you tell me that? You could have said, we're denying your visa because you don't make enough money and you're applying in Norway, So I was like, all right, this is now 2019. So I'm like, okay, I gotta bounce. I gotta bounce out of Norway. I gotta, figure this out. Because I'd been there like almost 7 months, and you really only supposed to be in Europe like 90 days. But because I was applying for a visa, they gave me a little exception so I could barely be there, right? So I was like, okay, now I got 2 down. I gotta figure out how I can not have my visa get denied. And so I went back to the States. I regrouped for a little bit. I got a job working, and then I was like, you know what? Because they wanted certifications, like, and everything. Because, like, I'm a bartender. I'm a bar manager now. But, I make drinks. So in America, you don't need to have, like, certifications to be a bartender, right? Nobody go into the bar and be like, I got this bartender certificate. You'd be like, what? No. So I never had all that stuff. But in Europe, it actually is a thing. Like, people want to know, you can't just go in a place and say you're something. They need to, you need to be able to prove that. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay. My CV wasn't enough, So I was like, all right. So I Googled bartender, like, what's the best bartender school in the world, so that I could get the certification, and so I could, try to get this visa, right? And that's how I got to Ireland, and that's how I got European Bartender School with EBS. I went out there, did that. So now I'm in Ireland, right? And now I'm like, dude, I never traveled. I went through all of Europe, 7 months. I went everywhere. Israel. I was in Lithuania, Poland twice. I was in Germany, France, Czech Republic, Brno, Prague, Denmark, Sweden. I was everywhere, right? And so now, then I went back to the States, and now I'm back, and I'm in the UK. Well, Ireland's not in the UK, but I'm in the British Isles. Anyway, I'm in Ireland, right? No disrespect. Not trying to get nobody mad at me. So now I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I'm in Ireland, doing this bartender course so I can get the certification. And that was cool and everything like that. Get the certification. And then as soon as I get that, I'm like going back to the bar that was in Oslo. And I'm like, yo, I got a certification. I'm going to reapply for my visa. And they were like, man, we couldn't keep the job open for you. This is now 5 months later. Like, we needed somebody to work then. I don't have a position. And I'm like, no. Then COVID hit. So I'm like, oh, my goodness. Come on, bro. Life was just like, bam, bam. I'm like, come on. Right? So I'm sitting there waiting for COVID and everything. All that, travel shut down. The world is shut down. Can't go nowhere. Can't do nothing. So I'm like, all right. EBS, they hit me up, and they were like, yo, your instructor said you were really cool. You had good personality, and, you should apply to be an instructor. I'm like, well, I don't really want to be an instructor. I just want to go to Norway and be a bartender. I don't really have an interest in being a bartender instructor, Like, I came to EBS with a plan. That plan was to get a certification, get to Norway, right? And they're like, well, Norway's closed. You can't get to Norway now, can you? It's like, well, no. So why don't you come to the instructor course and, see where that takes you. Okay, what's the benefits of being an instructor? Oh, well, we fly you around the world. You can go to different schools, do all this, travel. I'm like, wait, what? You should have led with that. You gonna pay for me to travel around the world? Okay, let's go. Where's the instructor academy? Like, where is it at this year? It was in Kos Island, Greece. I'm like, oh, what is on a Greek island? Like, I'm going to Greece. I'm going to a Greek island, right? So, and this is what I'm telling you. This whole point of this video is following your dreams, chasing your dreams, because my dream was to get to a destination, to get to a place to do something, right? But in the middle, like following that dream, I lived an entire dream life in the middle of getting to the dream. Like, this is insane. Like, this is stuff that's on my way there. Like, oh yeah, I'm in Ireland. Oh, I'm living on this Greek island. Then I got the job from EBS. First assignment I had was in Barcelona. They fly me to Barcelona. I was in Albania at the time. They fly me to Barcelona, and you know, I'm chilling there. And then all of a sudden, the next assignment is in Sweden, and that was only after then I tried to get like back into Norway to do an interview for this other place up north, right here in Tromsø, and I didn't have the EU QR code for the. All I had was my CDC card. I'm like, yo, I don't have the QR code from the EU because I'm not European. Got kicked out of Norway. Police escort. They came, got me. They're like, no, you can't come in. Grab your suitcase. They had these cops around me. It was insane. And I'm like, yo, what? Then EBS hits me up. God bless Flo. Flo hits me up and she's like, yo, you want to do this course in Sweden? I'm like, I mean, I guess. She's like, look, I know you've been trying to get into Norway, but I mean, at least you're in Scandinavia. And I'm like, well, okay. So I go to Stockholm. Now I'm in Stockholm, living in Stockholm, teaching young people how to be bartenders, learning more about bartending myself, you know, because when you teach, you're still learning. Every time you teach something, you're learning something new and you're learning something from someone else, right? So, right, so that was cool. So I'm like, man, I'm in Sweden. Like, it's crazy. I'm living in Stockholm. I'm riding around on a little electric scooter, you know, right, chilling. I was like going to like the ABBA museum, you know what I mean? Give me. Oh man, come on, bro. Like, I'm really like this ABBA dancing queen, like all this stuff, right? I just can't even believe it. All right, and then when that ends, what happened? Then I went to Paris because I had to get the QR code. And the QR code at the time, I still think is the only place, I don't know. But France was saying, yo, if you come to France and you have your American CDC card, we'll like make a QR code for you for Europe. So that you can like come to France and everywhere else, because the tourism was being decimated. Because if they're saying they're only going to accept the EU QR code, but don't give tourists a way to get one, then that means that even people, you know, that were cool can't come. All right, so went to Paris. That was like, I don't even know what time that time I was going to Paris. I've been in Paris a few times, but I went to Paris and do that. Even just doing something simple like that meant going from Sweden to France, and then I'm chilling. I'm on a bus and we go back. Now I'm in Germany. It was Amsterdam. Like, again, I've been to Amsterdam like 4 times. Like, it's crazy, right? So do all that. Finally get back. I did another course in Sweden, and then I got to Norway, finally got in, and literally it was just like a month before I was getting kicked out of Norway. Like, they would not let me in at all. And then this time I came back, said, boom, there goes my passport, here go my QR code. Lady looked at it, looked at me, looked back at it. She was like, are you French? And I was like, no, I'm American. You have my passport. You know that I'm not French, right? She's like, well, why is your QR code from France? And I was like, oh man, they're not gonna let me in. I was like, cause I was in France when I got it, you know? And she was like, oh, okay, welcome into Norway. Stamped my passport, let me in. I kept like looking around. I was expecting somebody was about to tackle me, you know what I mean? But that never happened. Got there, got my contract, did everything. Went back to the States, went to the embassy, the Norwegian embassy, did my visa interview. And the woman was like, she's like, you have 74 pages of documents, right? You have so many certifications. And I'm like, yeah, that's because y'all wasn't trying to give me no visa. And y'all said I had to do all of this. And I'm trying to make it hard for you to say no. So in the meantime, now it's like 2 years later, from 2019. Now it's 2021. I'm like, I went all the way around the world collecting bartending infinity stones. Okay, infinity stones, so that you can't say no. So now, when you say, "Are you a good bartender?" instead of me just saying yes, I can prove that, right? I can prove that with like so many certifications. So now I'm back in the States. Then, since it's been a couple years, EBS, they have one school in America in New York, right? In Brooklyn. And since at the time I was the only American instructor they had, they're like, I don't need a visa to be there. So they're like, do you want to open up the school? We're going to bring in this other guy, legendary instructor named Matt. He's also American. He's like the coolest guy ever. They were like, we're going to bring him in. He was in the Dominican Republic, flew him in there, and then me and him opened a school. Now I'm in New York City. And I'm just like, I'm still trying to get to Norway. I'm still on my way. Like I was there, you know, I kicked out. I'm still trying to get back. And I'm like living this life. I'm in Madison Square Garden. Man, I'm in the Barclays Center. I was living in right on Marcy Avenue, like right on Marcy. Like when I looked out my apartment window, it was the Marcy projects right there. It's the street. It's so crazy because on one side is the projects and on the other side, it's like really nice. But I'm living out in New York City. I'm on the subway. I'm doing all the cool stuff, man. Statue of Liberty, Brooklyn Bridge, Manhattan, you know what I mean? The Dead Rabbit, going, you know, employees only, all the bars, all the cool stuff, like New York. And, you know, and in the meantime, before that, I had been living in Idaho. I was in Emmett, Idaho. Emmett, Idaho. Listen, you ain't never heard of Emmett, Idaho because none of y'all ever been to Emmett, Idaho. But I love Emmett, Idaho. It's like 30 minutes north of Boise. I was living out there, bartending, like life is crazy, right? Then I'm waiting on my visa answer. And so in the meantime, I told EBS, I was like, yo, they told me about 3 months. I should have my answer. So I wanted them to know, like, at this time, then I won't be working for you guys anymore. Like, I really appreciate everything you've done for me. Literally, my dreams have only come true because of you. And, but now it's time to take that next step, you know? And, they were happy for me. EBS as a whole is happy for me. Flo at the time, because Flo, she has a job to do and she's got a lot of moving parts. She needs instructors here and over here and over here. And if she ain't got an instructor over here and I could have filled that role and then I'm saying I'm gonna leave, she's not gonna be happy about that because it puts a lot of pressure on her. But once she finds somebody for that spot, then it's all love, which she did. And she was really nice, really accommodating after that. And I love Flo. We be talking, right? She's cool. And so then I was gonna go, but I didn't hear anything. So I had messaged this one bar. This is how I got to Svalbard, right? Svalbard, the northernmost town in the whole world, Longyearbyen, right? I didn't hear nothing about the visa. I had all my bags packed in New York, and I didn't have a job anymore. So I'm like, this means I either got to go back to my mama house or find somewhere else to go. And I DM'd this place on Instagram. I was like, yo, are you guys hiring in Longyearbyen? And they said, yeah, Svalbard Pub. They said they were hiring. I sent them my CV, had a couple interviews over the phone, and I got hired. And then I was like, well, technically Norway, or technically Svalbard is like a part of Norway, kind of. It is. Like, it is, but it isn't. It's a weird whole thing. That's a whole nother thing. And I was like, so I'm not lying when I said I was going to Norway, right? So I go to Svalbard, and I'm just waiting the whole time. Like, I lived there for almost half a year. Dark season, the polar night to the midnight sun, and in between. Went from northern lights to 3 in the morning. It looks like it's noon. It's crazy, right? So I'm out there, -20, -30, -40, riding snow scooters home from the bar, like snowmobiles, you know? And I just can't even believe it. Like, I'm sitting here looking at it like, all this cool stuff is happening to me, and this is just along the journey. Like, they really, when people tell you, like, it's not the destination, it's the journey, I mean, it really is, because, like I said, I was just trying to get to somewhere, bartend there, and just live a life there. And in between that, there's so many countries I went to, so many countries I lived in, cities I went to, cross-Atlantic flights, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's been a few, right? And 12-hour flights, 10-hour flights, 14-hour flights, all that stuff. And you know, this stuff would have never happened if I didn't take those chances. So, you know, I want to tell all you guys watching this, or you guys that, you know, support me and, you know, check me out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube channel, all of that, that, you know, it's really important to chase your dreams. You know, this was my dream. Whatever your dream is, you know, you have to chase that. You know, some people want to be a carpenter. Some people want to be a plumber. Some people want to be a mechanic. You know, some people want to be a doctor, a lawyer. People want to be a ball player. Somebody, you know, they want to do a lot of different things, you guys out there. So it's definitely worth it, like, to go. I mean, a lot of people tell me that, you know, everything I did before I even got here to Troomsa, that's a dream life. That's a dream life for so many people. And that was just something I did on my way. I get my how to get a job on Svalbard video. It's closing in on 10,000 views, and I get so many comments and questions, and people hitting me up on Instagram, like asking me, you know, how can I move there? How can, you know what I mean? Like, this is their dream destination, and I was just a stop on my path, and that was even by accident. If I had got my visa approved in Norway before, when I was still in Brooklyn, I would have just went directly from Brooklyn to Troomsa. But since I didn't, I just took a chance. I was like, well, I could bartend back where my mama lived, or I could go to this Svalbard place. And I mean, I got a coat, right? I have a jacket, so I could do it, right? But that's just life, man, you know, and that's been my life. And that stuff I all write about in my book. And I just can't even believe it, you know, because the reason why my book is called My Beautiful Nightmare, From the Bottom of Prison to the Top of the World, is because, I mean, I was in prison. I did 5 years in prison. I was solitary confinement, everything. Like, when I got out of prison, I got out from solitary confinement. So, like, I was in solitary confinement, and then they took me and released me. I didn't see no counselor, no, like, didn't debrief with nobody. I was just straight up solitary confinement and then in the world. So, you know, when you're in prison, you are at the bottom of society. I mean, right? We can agree on that. Like, you're at the bottom of society. And so that's the bottom of the world right there, you know, because that's the bottom of society. When you're in prison, you got the society, then you go to prison. When you're in prison, it's because you can't, like, live in society. But when you're in solitary confinement, you're in the bottom of prison. Because now, society, prison, and then solitary confinement. So I said, well, I'm in the bottom of prison because, I mean, I'm in solitary. And you can go for many different things. And I got a whole series coming out about my prison stories. I'm going to make it a whole playlist so you can go through and just, like, watch all the, you know, stories. I'm going to tell you guys so many stories. Crazy stories. Like, my goodness. Like, but, you know, so I went into that. And I was in solitary confinement, got out, right back into the world. And then, you know, it took me a few years, you know, with addiction and things like that, to get through to, like, my true self, to my highest self, not like the highest form of myself, you know what I mean, right? So and then I go live in Svalbard, and that's the northernmost, like, Longyearbyen is the northernmost town in the world. So this has been my life. It's been a nightmare, but it's been beautiful, right? You got to find the beauty in that. And it's because I went through all that stuff that it has become beautiful. So that's why it's my beautiful nightmare, from the bottom of prison to the top of the world. And even now, I mean, I live 220 miles above the Arctic Circle. I'm not as far north as I was in Troomsa or in Svalbard, but I mean, I'm still at the tippy top of Norway. Like, I'm still at the top of the world. And it's like, it's a double entendre, because hopefully the book comes out, it's successful, New York Times bestseller. I'm doing the most, I'm doing everything, right? And then I'm, like, figuratively on top of the world, as well as literally on top of the world. So I hope this story can bring some inspiration to people. If you know, wondering about stuff, I had never been to Europe. I just took a chance. I had a check, and I just bought a ticket, and I went. And then I had a job opportunity, and I went. I had an opportunity to do this, and I went. You know what I mean? Like, you can always go back to do the things you've done before. But why don't you try something new and just see what could happen? So that's why you should follow your dreams. I follow my dreams, and here you are watching me tell you about it. I'm just a regular dude. I'm just a regular dude, you know what I mean? So it's a guy from Herndon, Virginia, moved to Corvallis, Oregon, and then Just went for it, man. Anyway, I'm Rob Does It All, and I'll talk to you later.